Meghan Markle not at the Golden Globes because many of her co-stars were. We had 4 major co-stars from Suits at the Golden Globes there to present, of all things, the award for Best Television Drama. And Suits, well, it was okay. I've watched it. You can see the video up there. It was definitely not a groundbreaking show. It wasn't anything that people were super excited about. And honestly, at the time, it was never ever going to win a Golden Globe. It is not a prestige show. But given all that, it is very interesting to consider why Meghan Markle did not attend, because by all intents and purposes, she should have. And we have 2 competing narratives as to why she couldn't attend, but I think the truth is actually very different. I think Meghan Markle was invited, but she would have had to present the award as a group. And Meghan Markle, of all things, while she is proud of her time at Suits, she doesn't want to go back. In fact, although she's excited about the resurgence and what it may potentially mean for her career, she sees Suits as a step backwards. She doesn't like Suits. She's not interested in engaging in Suits any longer because she sees the cast and I think the show itself probably as beneath where she is right now. The problem is Meghan Markle desperately needs Suits because the only thing that makes her relevant right now is that show, because no other project of Harry and Meghan's, I don't think A, is going to get off the ground, and B, will be as successful as Suits. And the reason simply is Meghan Markle is not a creative, and her role within the industry is diminishing by the hour unless she can pull a rabbit out of her hat. And really going back to Suits, while maybe her best option, it is also a clear indicator that while Meghan may have climbed the stratosphere in terms of the social ladder, because there's really nothing higher than royalty, she has plummeted down to exactly where she started when she met Harry, being 6th on the call sheet for Suits. So we are going to get into this today, but if you guys haven't been to Royal News Network, my name is Brittany and I provide you all compelling royal commentary. So if you want to smash that subscribe button, that would be fantastic. I would love to have you back. I also have an upcoming trip to Scotland, so if you want to check out the Scottish Highlands and talk all things royals and meet some amazing new friends, feel free to check out the link down below. I also have a newsletter, a fashion channel related to royals, and I also have a sponsorship with Ana Lucia Diamonds, so you'll see some of these pieces I'm wearing today linked in the description box down below. And obviously as well, I'm still working on a video I have regarding sort of the spare issue with Andrew and Harry and the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, but I haven't finished that yet, so I will get back to that, hopefully post that later this week. But I just wanted to jump on this topic because I've really been mulling over Meghan, Suits, and the Golden Globes, because I think all 3 of those things are very interesting. So to give you a little bit of background, I've loved following Hollywood for years. I've stepped back from it a lot and have changed that really for royals, just because I find Hollywood very, very annoying anymore because they've become very preachy, sanctimonious. I don't really like anything coming out. I tend to go back towards older shows. And so one of the things to consider right now is that the reason Suits was so popular is perhaps because most of the recent things Hollywood is putting out are crappy. There have been very few recent shows that I've enjoyed. I'll see the trailers and I watch and I go, oh, A, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't sound very good. It just sounds preachy. It just sounds very, very Hollywood. And so something like Suits, which was not particularly good, again, even though they presented the award for Best Drama, that show was never going to be nominated for Best Drama. It was a soapy law show. That's what it was. It wasn't anything special, out of the box, anything like that. I mean, you had an interesting premise, you had good character actors, but it was not top tier. It's not a prestige show that's going to win an award. So I think that's why it connected with so many people, is because people are like, I'm desperate for a new show, and look, this one's completed. I don't have to wait till the end. Although I did notice as well when I looked through Netflix's whole breakdown of how many people watched shows, every season, Suits lost a good chunk of its audience as it went down. So every season it would start 1 with the highest, then 2, 3, 4, so on and so on. And so unlike other shows where there's one season that gets particularly popular, and so that one's watched a lot and the others are not, this show, it was in order, so you could tell people were binging it, and there was a good chunk that would drop off every time for the different seasons. Now again, Suits was also only about a 16 episode per season show, so it didn't get the usual 22 that other hour-long dramas usually got. And so Meghan and her cast members did not get as much money as some of those other shows. And it was also on USA, which was a channel not everybody had because it's not a part of the main cable box. And so it was a show maybe not a lot of people got to see. And you also have to consider as well, because of the strikes, because of COVID, there are not as many shows coming out, or the shows that had maybe one really good smash season, let's say like Wednesday or One Piece, you'll have to wait a good chunk of time because of the strikes and not see new shows really until probably 2025. And so you have this whole conundrum of things going on. But the resurgence of Suits is not necessarily because it was a fantastic show. It just happened to come on Netflix at the right moment where people were looking for something new to binge. Hollywood didn't have anything interesting, and oh, there's this new show and we're sort of aware of it because of Meghan. We'll give it a shot. That's why Suits got its resurgence. It wasn't because of Meghan necessarily, it wasn't because of the acting, it wasn't because the show was all that great. It just happened to fit a certain niche at a certain time when the plethora of new shows had diminished. And so when it comes to Suits presenting at the Golden Globes, I remember hearing that and I'm going, what? None of those actors in that room know who the Suits cast are. They know none of them. They know literally none of them. All four of those actors walked onto the stage, and besides probably Gina Torres, nobody knew who any of those people were. I almost guarantee you, most of those people had never ever interacted with a Suits actor in their life. I want to say that right now. And so when they came out, there was sort of a little bit, and it was super awkward, by the way. The two main guys came out first. I thought their bit was really awkward. You can see it a little bit here, but I'll encourage you to look it up because CBS has been really cracking down on anybody using any sort of clips from the Golden Globes. I had a terrible time with my last video, so I won't be including it, but you can just see a little bit of it. It was just super awkward, and they made a joke of, oh, look, we weren't nominated, but we were a good drama, and oh. And we were probably watched more than some of those shows nominated this year. But that's a reality of Hollywood. They like their niche stuff that fits to them, not usually anymore, at least, what is actually appealing to the broader public. That's a reality of Hollywood. And so they came out, they had this great moment where nobody knew them, but they got to present this award. And of course, everybody is super excited about the prospect of a spinoff apparently located in LA. The original Suits office was in New York, and this will include probably a different cast of characters with maybe some from the old series returning. And I looked through the IMDb and some of the projects related to most of the Suits actors, and really this was their biggest thing. I would say Patrick J. Adams had probably the best post-Suits life, but Gabriel definitely really Suits seems to be his only role. Like his last couple of things were literally Pearson, which was the spinoff of Suits, and most of the rest of them were in the same boat. It looks like Sarah Rafferty just had a show on Netflix, but it got middling reviews. And then we also have Gina Torres as well, had a good... Gina Torres, I would think, is the most established actor of the bunch, and then she went on to do her own spinoff, which didn't do that well, and let me see where she's at right now. This is currently on 911 Lone Star. She was also in Westworld, so she's been in a couple of big things definitely since then, and was definitely the more established of the bunch. And Meghan, of course, had a very different career track, but we'll get back there. But given that the Suits has had this resurgence, and for many of the cast members, this was their most successful property, they are giddy at the prospect of doing more. And so let me share with you a little bit of this interview with Patrick, and talking about how, you know, obviously he compliments Meghan Markle's acting, which again, I question so much because she's an awful actress. She's a terrible actress. But look at him, you could see him salivating over the prospect of having this show, because for actors, again, having an established series is a great moneymaker for them. And because the series has been so successful on Netflix, and because of the interest in going back to it, they can obviously ask for even higher salaries than they did to begin with. So let's listen to a little bit of this interview here with him and E. And I gotta say too, when I was listening to this interview, parts of it are so stinking cringy. Like it just embarrasses me that I used to be interested somewhat in like the ingoings of Hollywood, because this interview is so terrible. It's awful. It's just ridiculous. And this is from E.
We've heard all these rumors that Meghan may come back to acting. Would you guys team up again?
You heard that rumor?
So obviously she's trying to insinuate that, well, Meghan Markle is going to come back to acting. We've heard all these rumors. She goes on to say, well, I just made up the rumor. But It is an interesting prospect because Meghan has said several times she doesn't want to do acting anymore. She was even offered by the palace to continue acting, and her and Harry could have like this transitional role out, which apparently they originally probably needed, and she declined it. But the big thing is, she was a really crummy actress, and she has not established herself by any stretch of the imagination as a creative, as a good producer in Hollywood. So really all she has to fall back on is Suits and acting. That's really what she has to fall back on.
But would you ever team up again?
I think Meghan's a fantastic actor, so we'd be lucky to have her back in the industry, sure.
We'd be lucky to have her back in the industry. Buddy, I've seen her acting. It is bad. It is really, really bad. She's wooden, she's overacts so much. I mean, you even see this in just interviews she does. She's so over emotive. You just have to listen to her podcast. It's there too. The very, very contrived laughter, the contrived pauses. She can't be natural because she is so contrived. Even in acting, she's so contrived. And so any clips I grab of her, I always think she's terrible. There's this one show, and it sounded like a weird premise. It went on for 2 seasons, but she had this guest starring role. And her job was to seem to be flirting with this character when in fact she was trying to connect him with her mother. But the problem was Meghan overdid it so much that you really, really thought she was really, really into him. Like she did like the whole very much overly flirtatious thing. Now that could have been the director saying that, of course, but I'm looking at it going, well, you did lead him on because you way, way overdid it. I think there's a way to be engaging without being so flirtatious that it very much comes across as you want to have a relationship, and she could not find that balance. And so because of that, the joke didn't really work, I think, in some ways, because the idea is that he read into it, whereas she was being more... Anyways, so I have never been impressed with Meghan Markle's acting whatsoever. So this idea that she's a fantastic actress and we'd love to have her back in the industry. No, he'd love to have her back in the industry because he can make a buttload of money if she comes back to Suits.
Do a spin-off or something?
Yeah, I'm ready. Mike and Rachel in Seattle.
What happened?
Yeah.
So again, you can see he's so excited about this prospect. They really, really want this prospect. Again, because it is a moneymaker, because they can ask for more, they can demand more things, the production budget can go up, it could maybe get on a major network. There's so many reasons behind his interest. It's not really because it's Meghan Markle. It's because of the prospect of maybe making a lot of money off their connection with Meghan Markle. Because even though Meghan is not a great actress, there's obviously a lot of interest in the property, and that's what's going to drive things forward in a lot of ways. So considering all the fervor and the interest, will Meghan Markle go for this? I'm not sure, but I just don't know if she has many other options. But the problem is, the overarching problem for Meghan in this scenario is that she feels like Suits, the actors she worked with, are all beneath her in her place in life now. They're not really deserving of her because she's a royal. She needs to have the red carpet rolled out for her. And we'll get back to why she didn't attend the Golden Globes, but you see that. You see that constantly with her. But once she moves to the next step in her life, she usually cuts off all the people that are not worthy of her in her mind. She likes the people who are sycophantic towards her, the people who are very much like her. That's why she's still friends with Marcus Anderson, is because they have this relationship where they're very similar in that they're desperate for fame and fortune. They're desperate to connect to other celebrities. And so she continues to have a relationship with people like that because they're the only people she can have a relationship with, really, because they're the only people she can really be friends with are people who are as narcissistic as she is. And so when it comes to Suits, I don't think she was really all that close with most of the cast. And so let's listen to this little bit from Gina Torres, which I shared in another video recently.
Who texted Meghan and said, you gotta come to the Golden Globes, Meghan Markle?
We don't have her number.
Yeah, that's a good one.
We just don't.
So if you watch that, it could be sarcasm. I know some of the Sussex fans are like, it's being sarcastic. She doesn't mean it. But I'm not, again, sure that's really the case, because what was interesting to consider, and it came up on my Twitter feed, I'm so glad because it was a great reminder, is that there was this woman who was interviewed and she was talking about how basically those people who had connections with Meghan on Suits, they weren't really friends with her because you can't really be friends with her. So go ahead and take a listen to a little bit of this here.
But a large number of the people in Suits, sort of didn't jive with her. And somebody said she's just not somebody you can be friends with. You can go on a hike with her through the Hollywood Hills and she'll ask you about your family. She'll be very nice, but you never actually get to know this person. You can't get through the glass. These women have everything and they want everything.
So guys, I think that's critical to understand is that, again, Meghan Markle, she's only close with people who are like her. So she will be friendly to you. She'll ask you about things and she'll remember things about your friends and your family and those sorts of things. But you never really get to know her because she's behind this veneer and this facade. And she models her life around her projected image of herself without really being ever authentic. So I can 100% see that yes, she was friendly with the Suits members. Yes, perhaps they didn't really have tons of problems with her, but they're not really friendly with her. They're not really friends with her because she doesn't really care. I noticed Sarah Rafferty, she shows a lot of clips of her and the guy who played the character Louis on the show, but not really any clips of Meghan. Patrick did this whole, because he's almost the most sycophantic of all the Suits cast, he did this whole thing showing all these pictures of Meghan on the set a couple of months ago, and he had to delete all of them, and he was backtracking, going, I don't know why I did that. And I was we don't know either, buddy, why you're doing that. And again, his probably continuation on the show might be somewhat contingent on getting Meghan back to the show. And so he's come on, Meghan, look, I love you, come back to the show so I can make money. But the thing is with Meghan is she doesn't want to go back to the show because I think though she enjoys the success the show has had, and she mentioned this in a Variety interview, so go ahead and take a listen to a little bit of this here.
I have no idea. It was great to work on. Such a great cast and crew. We had a really fun time. I was on it for 7 seasons, so quite a bit. But it's hard to find a show you can binge watch that many episodes of these days, so that could have something to do with it. But good shows are everlasting.
So you see that she is proud of the show, but the reality is if she goes back to Suits, it's an acknowledgement of how much she's failed. Even though the show has had this resurgence and everything, she's completely changed her career path. She has become a royal, become a mom, and then went back to Hollywood and said, I am going to be a leader in this industry. I mean, she and Harry projected, at least had some of their people in the press report, that they were going to create a media empire. So where is this media empire? Well, it's died. It never came to fruition at all because it turns out she sucks at this. That is the truth, is that she sucks at what she's attempting to do. If she goes back to acting, which I also think is not her forte, she will be essentially acknowledging that she can't really do anything else. She can't really do anything else except go back to the role. And she could do a couple other acting gigs, but I think those roles would quickly dry up when they realize, A, how difficult she is to deal with, how much of a terrible actress she is, and how she's really just not interested in the craft. It was interesting, I was listening to a live stream talking about the difference between British and American actors, and they were talking about how in Britain, there was a lot of steps you have to go through, at least about 20, 30 years ago, to actually be a British actor, and you had to do a lot of stage performances because that's really where you hone your craft and where you really get into the acting of acting. And Meghan apparently was told by one of her professors at Northwestern, this is according to Tom Bauer, hey, you need to go and you need to do a lot more stage productions and hone your craft and then move on to Hollywood. But Meghan just went to Hollywood automatically. She didn't want to get better at acting. She's always wanted the easy road out. So will Meghan Markle go back to Suits? She might. I think she may probably, but that's really because it's become her only option. Because I think Netflix is probably interested in doing a Suits reboot, but they're not really interested in any other projects Meghan and Harry are pushing because she wants all her projects to focus on philanthropy and everything. And Netflix is like, nobody watches that. Nobody's gonna watch that. They watch crime, they watch really interesting pieces on different things, but they ain't gonna watch Live to Lead. We've proven that. So something sanctimonious like that you keep telling us you want to produce, we're like, that ain't gonna get any viewers. They're more interested in the Cecil Hotel than they will ever be in Live to Lead. So you need to drop Live to Lead and figure out something like the Cecil Hotel. Then you may have some success, but Meghan just can't seem to do that because she can't seem to course correct when things are going wrong. So when looking at why Meghan didn't attend, there's a couple of interesting stories we have, and they're competing, but I think the truth is actually somewhat different. So here's the first reason why she could not attend. And I'm going to tell you why I think that's wrong. So it says, we asked the Duchess, but we were told that unfortunately she had a previous commitment, Globes Insider told us. What in the world could be bigger than the Golden Globes in Hollywood at that moment? Nothing. Nothing. That she's saying, oh, I had a previous commitment. And I'm like, previous commitment to what? Because you're more than willing to drop your and Harry's previous commitment to the Royal Marines to go to Lion King. So you're more than willing to drop whatever you're doing to go to something related to Hollywood, but you're definitely not interested in going to something that actually is related to your work. So of course she would want to go to the Golden Globes. Of course she would. Why wouldn't she? But the next excuse is even more hysterical. This is from Elle. Despite Suits reunion rumor, Meghan Markle opted not to attend the 2024 Globes this evening. The Duchess of Sussex kept a low profile on Sunday, but was not photographed on the Golden Globes red carpet. Her absence was understandable considering the fact that her attending would likely require heightened security, and of course, she was not nominated for an award. I'm sorry, but what? There is a lot of security at the Golden Globes. You don't need an additional security for Meghan Markle because nobody gives a crap. Nobody really does. The ludicrousness of thinking you need more security just because Meghan Markle is going to be there. There are women in that room wearing millions of dollars worth of jewelry. Executives there worth billions of dollars. And you think anybody cares that much about Meghan Markle that you need more security to cover Meghan Markle? Like, give me a break. Give me a break. That is a total and complete farce. That is exactly what that is. The reason she didn't attend is because she couldn't present the award on her own. She had to present it as part of a group. And that again shows that Meghan Markle is still the same as her Suits members. That's why she didn't go. She doesn't want to be the same as them. She doesn't want to be on the same platform as them. She wants to be elevated above them. She would only go if she could present the award on her own or with Harry. Those were the only two ways she was going to go. And the Golden Globes is like, no, we've offered this to your whole cast, not just you. And Meghan Markle couldn't stand that. And I mean, it's always possible too that she might not have gotten an invitation, but I imagine if they invited most of the cast, they probably wanted her there too. But she made all these demands and they're all sitting there going, you can't do that. You either present as part of a group or not at all. And she's like, well, not at all, because it's all about Meghan Markle. Never forget, everything Meghan does must be about Meghan. Must be about Meghan. That's why her and Harry don't show the kids a lot and those sorts of things. It's not just because of privacy, but because people will be more interested in her kids than they are in her. And she can't stand that. That's why she has to drag Harry to things where it's more about her, because she gets all the accolades and all the attention. And if it's really about him, she tends not to go. So when it comes to Meghan in Hollywood, I don't think there's a lot of love lost. And I don't think there's a lot of love lost between her Suits cast members either, except for maybe a couple. I think most of them are excited about the success and excited that Meghan was part of it because it does elevate the platform of the show. But they're also like, do I really want to work with Meghan again? Probably not. So guys, let me know what you think of this video and let me know why you think Meghan didn't attend. I would love to get your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.